Firoz Norji and Mr. Paul Mwangi, and I'm forever grateful. And so was Mr. Paul Mwite, Senior Counsel. Many times I was locked up, he was always available to appear for me, and like many other counsels who are here. I want to urge the court that what has been put on record, and particularly the evidence that has come through the submissions of my learned friend, Mr. Morgor, it's so important in terms of making a decision as to what to do with the elections that were held on the 9th of August this year. And Mr. Morgor has put evidence before you which has not been controverted. For example, there is evidence of interference, if not invasion, of the technology infrastructure of IEBC, and the evidence of Mr. George Njoroge, which was covered by Mr. Morgor. I want the court, with respect, to look at what the IEBC has said in return or in response to those very closure of the 6 logs from the 6 servers. In his affidavit, he actually acknowledges the logs which speak to access to the servers without authorization. And he puts the question the other way around. Instead of this matter going into inquiry by the Electoral Commission, he questions the authority of Mr. Njoroge in accessing, in obtaining those logs. And he says the same things about the logs that have been put forward by Mr. Justice Nyang'aya. The authenticity and integrity of those logs have not been rebutted. We are treated to an explanation in the affidavit of Mr. Wachira, in particular about the generation of Form 34C. And those rebuttals do not answer the question as to why there are these unauthorized access to the servers of the IBC and obtaining those particular 34Cs. One generated on the day the results of the elections were declared on the 15th of August, and the one that was generated on on the 15th of August 2022 is based on the results obtained at the county level. The next day, again, another Form C was generated. All that is in the bundle of Mr. Nyagasi. Another Form 34C. That one, we pray that the orders that we prayed for are justified. But probably in future, there may need to be a thorough inquiry as to what happened. Not just looking at the question of whether Mr. RUTO was validly elected, but looking at the criminality that characterize this entire enterprise. And that is when the Kenyan people will know the truth. But for now, I think the Kenyan people will be happier if this court can make sure that the authority, their sovereign will, is not taken away. I thank you.
The Constitution itself gives the answer, and that is set out in Article 3(2), which says that it is the duty, every person has an obligation to respect, uphold, and defend this Constitution. Defend? Armies coming from abroad don't care about our Constitution. We're not defending this Constitution against armed incursion from anywhere. That defense is from enemies within who use this type of thing. It is not unusual. The subsidiary legislation emanates, as we all know, from the institution itself. And a letter goes to the Attorney General saying, I would like to amend this. This is what I want. The Attorney General says, give us a draft. The draft comes, sent to the draftsman, legal draftsman. First draft goes to various ministries, Attorney Generals, other departments, public, to the Interior Ministry, So this has been done very calculatedly. Very few of us are going to read this to see it, but no one even saw it in 2017. So we have work ahead of us. And so may I turn then to the second issue that I'm coming on to submit to your ladyships and lordships, and that is Thank you. Sorry. So, the prayers are there. We are asking for prayers in the petition, and we respectfully request that the court looks at them and deliberates on them. But the court also has powers from other places. For example, in the Elections Act itself, under Section 80, subsection 4, you may issue directions that the certificate is to be made out in the name of the person who has secured more votes. The second prayer we do make outside this is this, that we cannot have, whatever the outcome of this petition, we cannot have the self-discredited person who is giving false affidavits and doing all these things to be the chairperson of the IEBC or anything at all. And so we are also saying that there are two prayers in relation to this. The Article 3 of our Constitution says this. Article 3, sub-article 2. And this is at the heart, I pray, of the judgment that this Honorable Court gives. 2, any attempt to establish a government otherwise than in compliance with this Constitution is unlawful. Any attempt to establish a government otherwise than in compliance with this Constitution is unlawful. And so, in what is a 34C? A 34C is what leads to 34B, which leads to the declaration of a precedent, which is the formation of a new government. That is what was going on the 15th of August there. An attempt, and even here, right now in this court, there are people who have filed things than in compliance with this Constitution. It's unlawful. So, if this Honorable Court finds that Mr. Chebukati is responsible for and has committed actions and decisions which are an attempt to establish a government otherwise than in compliance with this Constitution, we pray that you make a holding that he has done such an attempt, which is a mechanism within the Constitution itself and within this election petition's four corners, and a second and another declaration that this person, pursuant to Article 33, sub-Article 2, is no longer fit to hold public office. We go further. Is it possible that we can stop it by stopping Mr. Chebukati alone and we submit? No. It doesn't matter whether Mr. Chebukati will find another Mr. Chebukati next time. We have to stop those people who do not take those steps, but who take the benefit of those steps. And those people who take the benefit of the steps which the Constitution itself says is unlawful cannot take public office on the basis of a false 34C, 34D, of a declaration made by a person who knows he's made it falsely, so that we also pray that those who seek to benefit from the wrongdoing of Mr. Chebukati are themselves caught by Article 3, sub-Article 2, and you have the powers to make the same orders, that they too are making an attempt to establish a government in Kenya otherwise than in compliance with this Constitution. And we pray that this court moves our country forward with those two steps of orders in relation to all parties benefiting and all parties carrying out this mass attack upon Kenyan democracy. Thank you.
Honored to come after my senior, Mr. Firoz Norji, Senior Counsel. I cannot forget to put it on record that in 1993 I filed a similar petition challenging the election